Hello. Happy 4th. Well, happy 3rd. But it's just me today. No slide guitar, no guest. Hit up a lot of people that I wanted to talk to, and they're like, I'm out of town. We can do it this day. So I have 2 or 3 lined up. So it's going to be a fun July. But we're kicking it off with recapping June. Hello. Also, very, very cute and funny thing to start the day. My roommate and I were cleaning. We were doing a little apartment sweep, and Buddy was just kind of wandering around staring at us. He was just so unnerved by the actions that were occurring in the apartment. He was sitting in other places, just again, just always within staring view of either myself or Brandon. And casually, we were throwing out to each other like, "Jeez, what the fuck is going on with this dog? Why are you being so weird today?" And he is, he's fucking 15 years old or something. So whenever weird behavior happens, as an anxious boy, I'm like, oh boy, oh geez, what's going on here? So at one point he was doing his little, he was sitting in the middle of the kitchen, just staring at us as we cleaned out the pantry. And I just looked at him and was like, "What do you want, buddy?" And Brandon goes, "Oh, I have a theory now. I think I figured it out." And his theory was, so this is a Sunday afternoon I'm recording, and last night I had changed up the layout of the studio so I could watch a movie. I put the 2 chairs that are normally across from one another that I do the interviews in, put them together to watch the movie. And put the little table that we eat at in front of the chair. So Buddy had no access to his chair. So Brandon's theory was that he was being weird, looking at us, trying to convey, "Please go fix my chair." So I put his chair back in his normal spot, and then like 2 minutes later, from, staring at us in the middle of the kitchen, just sitting down in the way, he's back in his chair, completely conked out, snoring. He didn't know where to go. He didn't know what to do with himself because his chair, he had no access to it. It is so funny. It's just everybody wants to be in their spot. Everybody has a spot they feel most comfortable in. And it's just, I feel bad. I took his chair away from him on a Sunday afternoon. That is the best time for you to be in your favorite spot, a Sunday afternoon, whether it's a chair, the bed, a sunny hammock, who cares? Sunday afternoons are for your spot. So, that's how my day has been going so far. And it's been cool. I been busy, of course, busy doing shows, of course, busy recording. It has been a good string of episodes. I've had a lot of fun with, hearing about Cam's trip to Ghana was super cool. I mean, how sweet is Cam? Isn't he just the nicest, huh? He's just such a talented, friendly person who has to be a little more cocky, a little more confident in himself. He said something so funny. 4 minutes after I had stopped recording, I almost came back when it was just me and said, "Hey, Cam said this. It was really funny. I'm making it the title of the episode." But I was talking to him a little bit after, and he was, thanking me for giving him the space to chat and, talk about his trip and his family. And you could hear it on, 10 minutes into the episode as I was trying to get the story out of him. He was like, "Should I tell the story?" I was like, "Yeah, bro." Like, he seems like he would rather hear about others than talk about himself. But he does a lot of cool shit. So after the episode, I was like, you're a really talented dude. You're very fun. You're cool. Like, you gotta, gas yourself up a little bit. We gotta get you some gas going. And he like took a quick second. And he just went, maybe I'm electric. Which, very funny, but everybody deserves a little bit of, a little bit of octane. Get that engine going. So that was it attracts people to you, of course, because they want to be around you, and you're humble and all. I feel like that brings people to you. But inwardly, are you as happy as you could be? Not talking to Cam specifically, that just generally posing the question. Everybody deserves a little, self-confidence, a pat on the back. Alan is an absolute joy. I mean, come on. They call him White Chocolate. Another great soul working, helping out kids and making sure that they have a trustworthy outlet in a world that has, not been so kind, to put it that way. But dude can ball. That is very funny because, like, if you look at him, well, yeah, white 3-pointer. He does have that. Yeah, he's the white 3-pointer specialist that comes in, fires from 3. Your Sam Hauser. Yeah, that does kind of. Yeah, okay. Dude can ball though. Don't judge a book by its cover. And of course, Vickers family was great, adorable, hanging with Lumina and catching up. It was very interesting too to go back to back with the Vickers family and then with John, because kind of had both ends of the spectrum back to back. A brand new spanking baby. What was it? 4 months old, 3. She's brand new. She just got here. And the next week was John Galeese, who I got, a lot of really nice messages about that one. Thank you guys so much if you checked it out, if you listened to it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, what are you doing listening to this one right now? Go listen to the John one. Go hear John talk about life. It was very special. And like I said, to go back to, to see a blank canvas in Lumina, someone who is going to live their life, versus John, who, as he said, he's lived his life. He's, this is not how he saw it finishing, and while he's angry, he's accepted it, and he has no fear of what's to come, because he has lived such a fantastic and full life. And like I said, to have that back to back was it was special. Just, it was very interesting to see, to kind of skip the middle of the book, so to speak. And I'm in the middle of the book right now. It's still the beginning of the book. I still have so much to go. But to see the first chapter, and not the last chapter, but a chunk left in the novel of life. it's, and what do you fill those middle pages with? How do you find that piece that John has found where even though he was shortchanged is an understatement, but even though he was shortchanged, he still is happy with the way he played his cards. And I think that that's very interesting. There's been a couple, this was a little bit ago, but Brandon and I were discussing, do we re-up? It's all, summer, September, Boston, it's crazy housing stuff here. And we were just talking about how we've enjoyed the little setup that we've created. And Brandon had, summed it up nice. And he said, I don't know where it's going, but I like where it is. And I think that sentence speaks a lot for this feeling of, seeing Lumina doing that episode, having that conversation, hearing what Andrew and Mar had to say, and then talking to John right after. I don't know where it's going. I know where it ends up. I'll add that. But I do like where it is. And I of course, there's always things that you think could be better. Shows you want to do. Places you want to go. More money. But of course, there's also the big things that go overlooked and the little things that you don't even notice, the big things that are overlooked in the sense of like, yeah, that's cool. I'm happy about that. And then you move on, or the little things that, you step right by. June was an interesting, I got hit with a lot of like just life and death conversations, and John, Lumina. I read a wonderful book called Smoke Gets in Your Eyes and Other Lessons from the Crematory, and the amazing movie that I did not see coming, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Yeah, like the Shrek side character. Yeah, go check that movie out, like, right now. The little dog Perito, he will teach you so many lessons. He is honestly one of my top 5 favorite movie characters, probably. And that was, no spoilers, because you really should go check this movie out. It's a good movie. But again, the whole thing, it's basically enjoying what's in front of you, what you have, the life that's going on, and not to take it for granted. Because we are not cats that have 9 lives. We are Perito who has 1. We are merely the little dog. And I think the book too was, I finished it right around the conversation I had with John, and it basically ended the episode of, John saying, I've lived a life. I'm happy with it. I'm ready for peace. And basically this book ended the same way of sitting in the graveyard, the peace that comes, the silence, that's the reward for a life well lived. But there was a very interesting it's a lot of stuff that gets, again, big stuff that gets overlooked because Caitlin Doughty's the author, and she talks a lot about how up until a certain point in Western culture, death was something that was seen. Bodies were prepared by, relatives, family members, friends at the home. It was something that was tangible, and at this turning point, death became something that was prettied up, was beautified, and easier to look at. And that's, there's a big part about embalming, and that's, I would be curious. I did not Google if that's still the most popular practice in 2023. But the process of embalming, it basically, you're pumped full of chemicals to preserve some sort of quote unquote life, so that when people come to view your body, there's the trickery of, yes, they're gone, but look at them, they're still there, right there. There they are. There's no smell, there's no nothing. They're dressed up in their favorite Sunday afternoon outfit, and I think there was one part that really was interesting about the embalming process, where embalming became popular when undertakers in the early 1900s it was an occupation where people would pick up dead bodies from houses, and that wasn't enough. Undertakers also did other stuff too. It was basically one odd job in a handful of odd jobs that they did. So they eventually started practicing embalming from, the Civil War doctors who would embalm people on the battlefields so they could be preserved to be brought back to family members. So embalming has its place. If you're going to be, driving the body from church to church, city to city, it's got to keep that waxy look. And in this chapter called Pink Cocktail, this is where, she talks about the history of embalming and versus other cultures' traditions of what they do with, once a death happens. And it's I'm going to do a little excerpt here, and hopefully I've picked enough that will make sense. And I won't go too into the cannibalistic ritual that she describes and makes a case for of the Wari tribe. But if you made a face at that, let me find the sentence. Yes, the Renaissance philosopher Michel de Montaigne wrote in his conventionally titled On Cannibals that each man calls barbarism what is not his own practice. So she describes the Wari tradition and then a Tibetan ritual and then gets into the whole embalming process and talks about a conversation she had with the embalmer at the crematory that she worked at. When we speak of embalming, the stakes are not small. Though there is no law that requires it, embalming is the primary procedure in North America's billion-dollar funeral industry. Oh, okay, there you go, Danny. It is the process around which the entire profession has revolved over the last 150 years. Without it, undertakers might still be the guys selling coffins, renting hearses, and pulling teeth on the side. So, how did we get to the place where we venerate, that's a new word, haven't seen that since reading this, I guess, where we venerate embalming, decorating our dead as lurid, painted props on fluffy pillows like poor Papa Aquino. That was a character in this chapter. The place where we embalm a man like Cliff as standard procedure, though not bothering to question whether he needs it. Undertakers in the late 19th century realized that the corpse was their missing link to professionalism. The corpse could and would become a product. Auguste Renard, one of the earliest American embalmers, said in 1883 that the public had once believed that any fool could become an undertaker. Embalming, however, makes people marvel at the mysterious and incomprehensible process of preservation and made them respect the practicer. During embalming's early years, the public perceived the undertaker as a fool, since the profession required no national standards or qualifications. Roving professors traveled from town to town holding 3-day courses that ended with the professor attempting to sell you embalming fluid from the manufacturer he represented. But in just a few decades, the embalmer went from a huckster making money on the battlefield to a specialist. Manufacturers of embalming chemicals aggressively marketed the image of the embalmer as a highly trained professional and a technical mastermind, an expert in both sanitation and the arts, creating beautiful corpses for public admiration. Nowhere else were art and science so expertly combined. Companies pled their case in trade magazines like The Shroud, The Western Undertaker, and The Sunnyside. The new guard of embalming undertakers began to outline a new narrative, that with their technical training they protected the public from disease, and through their art they created a final memory picture for the family. Sure, they made money off the dead, but so did doctors. Did not embalmers also deserve to be paid for their good work? Never mind that corpses had been quite safely kept in the home prepared by the family for hundreds of years. Embalming was what made the professionals professional. It was the magic ingredient. Shinmon Aoki, a modern undertaker in Japan, described being ridiculed by society for his job washing and casketing the dead. His family disowned him, and his wife wouldn't sleep with him because he was defiled by corpses. So, Aoki purchased a surgical robe, mask, gloves, and began showing up to homes dressed in full medical garb. People began responding differently. They bought the image that he was selling and called him a doctor. The American undertaker had done something similar. By making themselves medical, they became legitimate. Watching Cliff go through the embalming process, I had the thought back to the Huang family's witness cremation and the vow I'd made to be the one to cremate the members of my family. "I've been thinking about this, Bruce," I said, "and I think I could cremate my mother, but there's no way in hell I could embalm her like this." To my surprise, he agreed. No way. No way. Maybe you think you could, until you see her laying there dead on the table. You think you could slice through your mom's neck and get to the vein? Think you could trocar her? This is your mother we're talking about. You'd have to be a tough sister to do that. Then Bruce stopped working, and looked me in the eyes, and said something that made me think, and not for the last time, that he saw his work as more than a trade. Though he hid his ideas under a boisterous personality and get-rich-through-funeral-dove schemes, Bruce was a philosopher. Think of it this way. Your mom's stomach is where you lived for 9 months. It's how you got into this world. It's your origin, where you came from. Now you're going to trocar that? Stab her? Destroy where you came from? You really want to go there? High in the mountains of Tibet, where the ground is too rocky for burial and trees too scarce to provide wood for cremation pyres, Tibetans have developed another method of dealing with their dead. A professional Rogyapa, or body breaker, slices the flesh off the corpse and grinds the remaining bones with barley flour and yak butter. The body is laid out on a high, flat rock to be eaten by vultures. The birds swoop in, carrying the body in all different directions up into the sky. It is a generous way to be disposed of, the leftover flesh nourishing other animals. Every culture has death rituals with the power to shock the uninitiated and challenge our personal web of significance. From the Wari roasting the flesh of their fellow tribesmen, to the Tibetan monk torn apart by the beaks of vultures, to the long, silver trocar stabbing Cliff's intestines. But there is a crucial difference between what the Wari did, what the Tibetans do, compared to what Bruce did to Cliff. The difference is belief. The Wari had belief in the importance of total bodily destruction. Tibetans have the belief that a body can sustain other beings after the soul has left it. North Americans practice embalming, but we do not believe in embalming. It is not a ritual that brings us comfort. It is an additional $900 charge on our funeral bill. If embalming were something a tradesman like Bruce would never perform on his own mother, I wondered why we were performing it on anyone at all. Something to consider. I know that it's a hard thing to confront as someone who has been trying to confront death. But what do you believe in? And that's not a religious question. It's not, what do you feel? And these midnight snacks started as a way to record at night when I could not sleep, and was talking to my dad recently about sleep issues, again going back to just finances and how to make things work. And he did say losing sleep doesn't get you paid. And that's the truth. Once the day is done, you've done what you can do. You've believed what you can believe. You've earned your silence. You've earned your rest. So, with that said, enjoy your 4th. I hope you have today off, or getting out early, or whatever you're doing. I hope it's fun. And go do stuff that makes you earn rest. All right, we're back to the slide guitar next week. Gonna be a fun one. Thanks, guys. Bye.